Good evening, and welcome to our video presentation of the Rose-Croix Remembrance and Renewal Ceremony. I am illustrious Brother Steve Gatton, 33rd degree, and the current Wise Master of Ainsworth Chapter Rose-Croix, which is one of the bodies of the Valley of Portland, Orient of Oregon, Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite. Assisting will be illustrious Brother Robert Fountain, 33rd degree, our Senior Warden and our video editor, Commander Thomas Binkard, 32nd degree, Knight Commander of the Court of Honor, and Brother Jason Smith, 32nd degree, as Masters of the Lights. This evening's ceremony is an opportunity to memorialize the Sir Knights and Brethren of the Valley who have passed on in the preceding year. In years past, this ceremony has been portrayed live with the assistance of Tigard Bethel number 66, Job's Daughters, but due to the present pandemic concerns, we have elected this year instead to use this video presentation. To better explain what the ceremony means to us as Scottish Rite Masons, I will read the following essay. Its author, unfortunately, is not known to me, but it will give you a much better idea about the ceremony and its symbols. The essay begins. The ceremony of remembrance and renewal commemorates the spirit of many religious observances. Occurring as it does near the vernal equinox, it commemorates the Jewish feast of the Passover, the Christian Easter week celebration, and even the Percy festival of Jamshidi Niraj. Jamshidi Niraj teaches us to value truth and virtue. Passover underlines the alliance between God and man, and the Christian rites bring to us the absolute commandment to love one another. The Scottish rite of ceremony of remembrance and renewal is therefore like a river fed by many tributaries, combining the strength of each into a mighty confluence. Underlining the Scottish Rite lessons of toleration for the religious views of others, a commitment to defending free thought and free conscience, and charity toward all mankind. Chapters of Rose-Croix traditionally observe the celebration of remembrance and renewal as a memorial service honoring the knights of their chapter who have passed on during the preceding year. This observance strengthens the ties of brotherly love, past and present. We meet together to break the bread of fraternity, to reconcile ourselves with those we may have offended, and to drink the wine of refreshment and renewal. Thus, we celebrate the lives of our departed brethren and promise to abide by the new law, the law of love, with our present brethren and all mankind. In this celebration, we also commemorate the lives of all those who have labored to improve mankind and were rewarded only with betrayal, punishment, and even death. Whether poet, religious leader, scientist, teacher, social reformer, all those who seek to elevate mankind may be considered as brethren. Masonry is duty, and its practice, often fraught with personal sacrifice, requires the performance of duty for the good of mankind. Light, dark, good, evil, life, death, hope, fear. These are polar opposites of life. They represent the ends of the spectrum of existence. In their eternal combat, we see life as a creative and developing force. More light. These, the last words of Goethe, the great German poet and Freemason, represent the philosophy of Scottish Rite Freemasonry. We seek more light, even when faced with the darkest of times, with the apparent death itself. We know that light in life will triumph and that the myriad demons of ignorance, prejudice, and hatred cannot overcome the forces of knowledge, fraternity, and love. The dawn will come. It will never go out. These are the concepts represented by our ancient ritual of Tanabre, the extinguishing of the lights. One by one, we see the candles quenched. Bit by bit, the darkness gathers. Evil strengthens. The forces of chaos increase. Despair looms and seems to triumph as the last light disappears. We are cast into utter darkness. There seems no hope, no salvation, no rekindling of life possible. Then a splinter of light shatters the gloom. It flickers. It seems to vanish. Then it glows with a renewed brilliance, all the brighter for shedding its beams in total darkness. Feeding upon hope and courage and compassion, it flares forth, reigniting the candles that have been extinguished. Our lives reflect this light, and we rekindle within ourselves confidence and joy. So the symbolic meaning of Tanabre brings the craft's light to all Masons. It asserts the simple truth that faith, hope, and charity will never die. Darkness must yield to light. Tyranny will fall to freedom. Order and truth will ever conquer chaos and error. Thank you for your attendance and support, and we sincerely hope that you keep the spirit of remembrance and renewal with you always. The ceremony will follow directly. Brethren, knights, and guests, we assemble in the spirit of fraternity at the vernal equinox, the commencement of spring, to renew acquaintances, to remember our friends, and to pledge ourselves to aiding humanity. We are taught that before commencing any laudable undertaking, we should first invoke the aid of deity. Officers and knights attendant, you will now rise and bow your heads with me under the sign of the Good Shepherd. Brother, sing your word.
Let us pray. Great architect of the universe, source of all light and giver of all good graces, be with us now as we remember the true purpose of our fraternity. Grant us health, peace, and wisdom that our days may be long and fruitful. Let us remember the lessons and sacrifices of those who have gone before us, so that we may, by their example, better our own lives and those of our fellow men. To the glory of thine ineffable name. Amen.
Spring is a time of beginning, but also of remembrance. As nature offers gifts of renewal following the dead of winter, she reminds us that she is immortal and that from apparent death springs life eternal. The hard black earth softens and is broken by the tender green shoots that promise to renew the gift of life by seed and fruit. By this renewal, nature offers hope that man will survive the grave and that he is, in some measure, immortal. Thus, life continues. But are there faces lacking what you knew in the past? Have you laid a friend and brother to rest? Let us celebrate the lives and commemorate the deaths of our brethren who have passed on, so that we may ever keep them with us while we live. For no man is ever truly dead, as long as he lives in the hearts and memories of his friends and loved ones.
Wherever they may be, the Knights Rose Croix form a great circle which encompasses the past as well as the present. The vows and duties that bind us to each other bind us to our ancestors, for we received our inheritance through them. This fraternal chain, called the mystic circle, is forged of links which pass into eternity. It becomes our duty, therefore, to honor our brethren past as we renew our fraternal ties to our brethren present. Remember always that true love knows no death, and what virtue unites, death cannot separate.
My brethren, let us now recall by name those of our number who in the past year have completed their earthly labors. Brother Secretary, you will take up the mystic scroll and read aloud the names of our brethren and knights who were recently deceased.
Brethren, attend. Recorded here, as in our hearts and memories, are the names of our honored dead. We shall miss them. William Grinnell Field, Rolf Doyen Gerlum, Robert Lorne Gotham, Gerald Lewis Larson, Lloyd Clayton Peterson, Donald Earl Smithers, Earl David Winson, Buford Lee Thomas, Chris Warren Woodlock, Job Henry York. Wise masters, these brethren and fellow knights are no more.
Be not sad, my brethren, but let us rejoice that these men lived, that we knew them, and that they were one with us in the mystic bond of Freemasonry. Let us celebrate their lives by making the best of their examples. So mote it be. Brother masters of ceremonies, you will light the tapers. Brethren and knights, let us recall those who, loving mankind, gave all that they possessed and were rewarded with death.
When the great architect created the heavens and the earth, there was darkness. He alone was the one true light. But he was pleased to put lights in the sky that his creatures might both live and see. Throughout history, men have come to dispel the darkness of fanaticism and superstition with the light of truth. But people, often blinded by vices, knew them not and put them to death.
Their pure and lofty lessons were intended to ensure the happiness of mankind, but the people knew them not and put them to death.
They came to teach mankind to be one family, but the people knew them not and put them to death.
They endeavored to illuminate men's minds with science and philosophy and knowledge, but the people knew them not and put them to death.
They came to teach charity, but the people knew them not and put them to death.
They came to lead mankind through the darkness of ignorance, proclaiming that the immortal part of man is a ray of the divine light, but the people knew them not and put them to death.
They came to protect mankind from brutality, but the people knew them not and put them to death.
In all ages, mankind has brutally murdered its liberators, its reformers, its best exemplars. We need look no further than the apostle of liberty, equality, and fraternity, who was crucified 2,000 years ago for proclaiming the law of love. No greater law has ever been uttered than his simple words, love one another.
The great architect hides from us what will befall us in the future. We know not what awaits us on the morrow. Therefore, let us work while it is yet day. Let us fulfill our duties and endeavor to dispel the darkness. Let us each bring light to the world through the practice of virtue. And let us labor for its own sake, knowing that he who sows does not always reap. But be satisfied that you labor not in vain, for if one life is benefited or improved by your work, you have done well.
At the beginning of our Masonic careers, each of us asked for light. We come to understand that light is a primary Masonic symbol because it reveals to us the world as it is. But light is much more than a symbol, as without light, life would not exist. We are taught that man is a ray of divine light, and we are to be soldiers of that light, ever vigilant. And although the lights of liberty, equality, and fraternity are extinguished from time to time, man bears within his breast a light, a spark that can ignite anew. Let there be light is both a divine command and a moral obligation. I therefore say, let there be light, even the light of truth. Let the light of truth illuminate the world.
Equality and freedom are in the hearts of all who consider the welfare of their neighbors. To deny a man these rights is to deny an instinct given by the great architect of the universe. Let the light of equality and freedom illuminate the world.
To walk uprightly in our several stations before God and man is to become one family. Let the light of true fraternity illuminate the world.
Man's unending search is to discover the nature of reality. Let the light of knowledge and wisdom illuminate the world.
To give to the less fortunate without the hope or expectation of recompense is to practice charity. Let the light of charity illuminate the world.
The purpose of initiation is self-realization. Know thyself is the dictum of sages and great teachers of every age. Let the light of self-realization illuminate the world.
To deny any man his individual liberties just because his practices differ from ours is to deny him the measure of his creation. Let the light of individual liberty illuminate the world.
Brethren and knights, the word of life and regeneration is recovered, and the law of love lives. We are to proclaim it and live it so that we may be worthy of the titles and honors which we bear. Let us unite in protecting the rights of others. When labors are placed on our shoulders, let us remember those who sacrificed for us. May liberty, equality, and fraternity reign supreme, and may the great architect grant that we may meet again in the bonds of unity and peace. Brethren, knights, and guests, I give you all the hope of spring renewed with its attendant bounty. May brotherly love prevail, and may we be ever united in every moral and social virtue, cemented in the mystic and universal bond of Masonic brotherhood. So mote it be.